welcome back to the Couch Command as we journey through the world of geekness from the comfort of our own couches. All right, I'm trying to make that thing. With me today, I have MJ.
Greetings and salutations. Happy Sunday.
Also, I have Isaac from Lobster Magnet Reviews.
Pleasure to join it. We're 1-4 short of a Fantastic Four, but I think we'll get the job done. I'm excited to talk about the beginning, the end, the alpha and the omega of the MCU.
Yeah. All right. So I'll say really quickly, the lowdown of this is, I think, what was this? Try number 4 at making a legit Fantastic Four movie franchise.
Yeah, I think so.
This fourth attempt. Yeah.
Awesome. Magic number 4, fourth attempt to make the superhero team that I've never seen be popular become popular. And they do it through the lens of retrofuturism and adventure. And my quick take on it was that I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I think that it was a successful film, except for like the main problem against it is that it's a fantasy that I don't know many people actually want. Like, yeah. So like the main core of it is like, I think I keep coming back to for the MCU of like how it started in how the world hasn't caught on yet, that it's not superhero films that were popular. It's that they were using the genres that were popular at the time and giving them superhero drag. Like back when the MCU was kicking off, I don't know what it was, but it was in the air that like super spy stuff, like everything kept bringing super spy stuff. I think there was like a Jackie Chan super spy movie. Everything needed it. And then you gave it like the dressings of Captain America or Iron Man, and now we're making all the money. And then like as it went on, people think that, oh man, it's the superheroes that people want. And as DC keeps finding out, that's not the case. Like they do their superhero, straight superhero movies, and they don't do the great. And now we're here with Fantastic Four. They're doing superhero stuff again, and not honing in on like, I think whatever it is, like it might have been lost, but like, what is it that most people want to see now? So that's my take on it. MJ, what's your take on Fantastic Four?
I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I kind of figured the only way they could approach a Fantastic Four movie at this point was to go full retro back to the days of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, when, you know, Fantastic Four were the genesis of Marvel Comics and basically helped usher in the Silver Age of comics. Because Fantastic Four, if we really come face up to it, isn't so popular with modern audiences. I mean, you saw with 2005 with the Tim Story movies that they tried to update it for the early aughts, and, you know, Extreme Sports Johnny Storm with Chris Evans, and then you had Josh Trank's pseudo horror, grim dark adaptation from 10 years ago that just flopped horribly because the studio freaked out, just like Warner Bros. Like, oh my God, we're ruining our IP. This was a pleasant throwback to what made Marvel great in the first place, with Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, all those original creators, John Romita, all those guys that built Marvel up after, you know, it flopping on its face as Timely Comics for 15 years before they all got there. And it was a nice throwback to the golden age of Marvel Comics, let alone to what Marvel tried to be. You know, it's Fantastic Four is a family dynamic, all the superpowers, and the concentration on it is them as a family. And I thought they did a really good job of concentrating on that dynamic.
Real quickly on that, I think that's the main thing that people don't want. Like the core fantasy that I think people want once upon a time might have been like, I've been watching like how the world changes how our entertainment changes. And like when your social circle was way more limited, so that, you know, your family and friend structure really might just be your wife and your brother-in-law, and like you guys, you know, make a fine adventure and fun and life out of that. And then you would, hey, oh, it's fun to see that in a comic book now. But then after that time passed, where like, you know, there's just not that many nuclear families and stuff, and and kids want adventure, they aren't looking to be like, oh man, I can't wait to start my adventure with the wife I've had for 3 to 8 years and maybe her brother. And like, no
Well,
kid is doing that.
My argument is that, like, you could say that the nuclear family fantasy of a Fantastic Four, um, doesn't resonate. But I'm going to give you two counter arguments.
Mhm.
One counter argument is that, like, Fantastic Four was like the series that kind of brought in, the Jack Kirby, Stan Lee idea that, like, our characters are not these stoic icons who always say the right thing and or always, like, the good Boy Scouts that you look up to, like Batman and Superman. They are feet of clay. They feel more human, and the idea that they fight and bicker and love like a family was like a big step towards creating
Mhm.
human characters and having them feel more relatable. And the big argument I would say against that fantasy doesn't resonate is probably the most successful not Fantastic Four movies ever created, and that is The Incredibles.
Right.
Yep.
I do think about exactly that when I say that family adventures are just, over. But like, when was the last time the Incredibles were, hot? Or they haven't really been fighting to bring them back.
There is a third movie, and that the second movie, which was very mediocre, made a shit ton of money. So it
Okay.
shows that there's like a lot. But there is one key difference to The Incredibles than the Fantastic Four has, and that the first steps was the first steps to alleviating that, and that is the Fantastic Four, as they've been depicted in popular media, have all been adults, while The Incredibles is 2 adults and 2 kids. So not having the kid element is kind of like, maybe what's been holding it back, that we haven't had, like, Reed and Sue's kids gallivanting around. And Franklin Richards is, like, considered to be like a very pivotal character in the MCU in general, but none of his stories have ever been depicted in like live action.
Okay, so I guess like maybe a thing with the Incredibles is that like it being animated, that makes it a giant target for families, and then like I'll say even the adults can really map into a child. So like a kid, I can't imagine any young kid wanting to be the mature old guy that Reed Richards is, but any child would love to be Mr. Incredible, and like he's got youthful energy to him. I just think like at its core, Fantastic Four uh was not trying to rhyme that. It doesn't work with today. The closest I've seen it to working is this animated series, which I've been checking out I've like seen the first 2 episodes, and it is very good and very kinetic and very energetic. And yeah,
Which animated series have you? Because there's been a bunch with, like, the '90s one.
it's I think it's early 2000s, called Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes. I got the
Oh,
image on the screen.
is that the anime one?
Yes, from
Yeah.
Christopher Yost once again. Christopher Yost coming
Really?
through. Yeah,
Yost did that one?
yep. Like he's
Wow.
the main man. Like he's written most of the episodes, the showrunner. So yeah,
I'm
he
not
keeps doing it.
I'm not sure about the uniform design there, especially with the thing. It kind of looks like his pants are unzipped partially and his
Yeah.
underwear is showing.
Yeah, like the
That
last
does not
episode.
work.
It was funny. Is like the last episode I saw. He was at like a gala in a tuxedo, and then he gets to the adventure, and then he rips off his top, and then like he has his pants on, and it looks like his like pants ripped in front the entire rest of the episode, and you're like, you gonna fix that? But it's like what his episode
Oh,
his
poor
uniform
Ben
looks like.
Grimm.
Yeah.
Always the butt of jokes. But anyway, coming back to the movie itself,
Yeah.
I love the production design on this movie. I mean,
Oh
all
yeah.
the retro futurism with it, with the 60s throwback. I mean, from Johnny's record player to all the equipment in Reed's lab and just everything. I love the retro 60s aesthetic.
Me too.
Because the production designers behind this movie should win a freaking Oscar. I thought it was amazing from start to finish. The only complaints I really had about the movie was it felt kind of thin in parts. I mean, it felt like Ben Grimm's part had been cut down significantly, which was kind of disappointing to me because I'm a big fan of Evan Moss Backrack. especially if you've ever seen The Bear. But
Not yet.
great show, by the way. It's if you've ever worked in the service industry, it will give you anxiety. But anyway, I don't know. It felt like the individual characters probably could have used a little more arcs themselves. I mean, I think the only character who really had a significant arc amongst the four of them was maybe Reed, with him dealing with the fact that he's going to become a father and dealing with him, being the smartest man in any room he walks into and going, "Oh God, I'm going to be a father," and "Oh God, I actually have to consider the impact of this celestial being wanting my kid." But other than
I
that,
think Johnny had a decent arc.
Well, can I chime in though? I've got
Please.
I don't think I gave my view yet.
Yeah, please do.
at
Yeah,
the round
sorry.
table. No, that's fine. But it also ties in onto like what you were getting into. I think is a really interesting point of discussion. I enjoyed it, but I do have the sinking back feeling that like once I walked out of the theater, like a lot of Marvels movies, it did not stick with me. I did not feel like it was a very sticky movie. I felt like it
Yeah.
just zoomed out of my head and I had difficulty recovering. I overall liked it, and I agree with MJ. The production design was stellar. It was definitely the most distinctive Marvel movie we've gotten in a while, and I love the retro future, picturesque 1960s version. It was the most interesting thing we've gotten from the MCU in forever. But one thing that I think was really interesting that helped and hurt the film was that the fact that we did this thing where we did like a media res storyline that starts like basically if this had been done traditionally, this would be like the second or third Fantastic Four movie, where
Right.
like the first movie would have been the origin story. Well, now they basically settled in. We got in that kind of montage, and then it starts media res like Superman. And I think it's so interesting that we, have these like two versions of, kind of older legacy characters, where the movie starts, in the thick of the action with more settled down versions of the characters, because it assumes that we have it works better here. Like the fundamental thing is I think Fantastic Four is just a better movie than Superman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Superman more.
Same.
Because I think like what it did get right was like more interesting than what Fantastic Four had on display. But like as a cohesive film, Fantastic Four was like a better experience.
Yep. I'm rooting for Superman more. I'm more team Superman. But yeah, head to head as a coherent film and vision, Fantastic Four wins. It's just that, unfortunately, I think that there are more people who are hip to James Gunn's style, and there's not enough like retro futurism nostalgia at all in the air that like I keep begging for. Like I really want that to be a thing where that kind of look hits. Like there's like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, and I keep on like hoping for that to really hit. And like all of a sudden, like, oh man, now everybody's chasing that look and feel, and I'm getting just like all these kind of movies from that. But like, I think it's just me, and I'm not sure if you guys are dying for that.
No,
either.
Superman definitely is more in line with more contemporary tastes. But I know I appreciate. I mean, what they did with Fantastic Four is what I'm kind of hoping what they do with James Bond is they kind of go back to the roots of the characters from when they originally came up and kind of reset everyone's perception of the characters. Like, okay, this is where they came from. This is the root of where they came from and their values and how they were created. Because I think James Bond would really benefit from that, because I'm kind of tired of them trying to update James Bond. But at the same time with Fantastic Four, and it's just like, there's so many values that, I mean, one of the things that I've heard as a main complaint about this movie is how relatively, what's the way to put it, benign or kind of lacking in flair that the characters are compared to like most contemporary superheroes. Like they're like very level and calm.
Mm-hmm. Can I interject with there, because like I want to add to that.
Sure.
Sorry, MJ. We're on the same wavelength, so I'm excited.
Sure.
That was like the big problem with the movie, is that like because the characters are like kind of, they're in their groove, they're in their family dynamic, they were kind of more flatter than I would have liked. Like,
Mm.
because like if we were in the first movie, we would have probably gotten a Johnny who's a little bit more of an asshole and be like, "Fuck you, rock monster! I'm gonna go bang it because I'm hot and you're just a stupid rock monster."
Right.
And the thing would, nobody loves me.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They haven't gotten a chance to grow into the roles, and that's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's more engaging visually and on screen versus like the Thing, who's doing pretty well. He likes the fact that the kids like him. He's like trying to rizz up Natasha Lyonne. Johnny is a little, he likes women, but he's not like screwing porn stars or actresses. But that fundamentally means that it's not as engaging to watch as it would be in the beginning of like read how do I use these stretchy powers, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that's definitely in response to like there's always the complaint that no one ever wants an origin story ever again, and that's what we're getting here. And
Of course,
yeah,
maybe it's everybody. Maybe they assume that everybody had watched the Tim Story movies. Like, yeah, we watched Johnny and Ben get on each other's nerves enough as it was in those two movies. Nobody needs to see that again. We want to just show the family dynamic they've already grown into and how they're the center of the world and everybody loves them because that's kind of the fun juxtaposition of celebrity in the '60s versus celebrity nowadays. I mean, back in the '60s, you could be a top-notch scientist. You could be pushing for actual global change and be a huge celebrity for it. Whereas nowadays, all you have to do is flash your boobs on Instagram and suddenly you're a celebrity.
yeah.
It was a nice juxtaposition of what accounts for celebrity from back then versus now. And I kind of wish celebrity would kind of start shifting back to the older days in that respect. But, that's just me.
This movie deserves to do better. I think it would have done better in a time that was in a time that was more into movies, like where you're just here for an adventure. And but yeah, I think where the biggest problem is you're not presenting a core fantasy that most people want to see.
If
I will
this
say,
was, if
yeah.
one last thought on
Yeah,
that,
please.
If this was the cinematic landscape of 6 years ago, right around the time of Endgame, and when
Oh yeah, right around
DCU hadn't
Endgame,
completely
it's been
pissed everybody
huge.
off before the pandemic, this would have been huge.
Yeah,
Yes.
honestly, that's another interesting thing. Why I think this movie represents the alpha and omega. This movie, I think, and unfortunately, it took Marvel 6 years of fumbling around and not really figuring out what they wanted to do. This is what the multiverse saga should have been. This should have been the start of Phase 4 after Endgame.
Oh,
Like just imagine, like I think if this came out like instead of WandaVision, and this was like the first movie, and just imagine this. So
This was directed by Matt Shackman, the guy who did WandaVision. So just keep that in mind.
he's good though. He's good.
Yeah.
So imagine if this came out first. So we got Fantastic Four. We didn't get WandaVision, and then basically you use the TVA like shield. And so you introduced Miss Marvel's in her own universe where the Marvel universe doesn't exist, and she wants to be a superhero. But then she gets superpowers and it's like, oh my god, I could be like these fictional characters. And then Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel's real. Do you want to meet her? And Moon Knight, he's in his own separate universe. And then he gets invited. And then you kind of like have all these new properties that you want to introduce.
Yep.
And have them in their own separate multiverses and then have them converge. Because one, that gives you more freedom, that you're not constricted by the rules of the MCU, which has just kind of gotten more overbearing. So this is a world with Egyptian gods, and we also have the Eternals, and everything's tripping on itself. That like you want us to believe that this is a franchise where everything interconnects. Why aren't the Avengers showing up to beat up the Egyptian gods when they're like altering the moon patterns? Every one of these goddamn series has some world-shaking event that nobody talks about.
a legitimate good start to the multiverse would be to see a legitimate multiverse, because like instead we got like multiverse just spam with multiverse of madness. We're just throwing all this stuff at you and you're like, okay, what world is that? And you don't have a time to be in that world to consider it a real world. But this here, like, yeah, if all of a sudden like the multiverse started with this Fantastic Four, where you are seeing a fully fleshed out universe in and of itself, and then when the incursions start happening, it matters more. But instead we have like, yeah, we have lots of multiverse spam and characters already in this current universe.
Yeah, that are already in the universe,
Mhm.
and because like that was like it's the multiverse saga, but it's also a new beginnings, and neither of these ideas were like fleshed out as well as they could have been.
That's two of the things I actually did like about this movie is one, you didn't really need to have done all of your homework with the MCU coming into this one, because it really has no connection with anything else you've seen of the MCU before, which was kind of nice. And the other thing was they cut down on the Whedonisms so hard on this. I
Mhm.
really appreciated that. It wasn't a quip a minute like everything else they've put out in the last 5 years.
I would have liked if like, yeah, if this had sparked the renaissance of some sort of like people going, oh wow, quality movie, and we're all back for it. And but yeah, it looks like, yeah, looks like it's not even doing as well as Superman, which I didn't expect it to do this bad. I thought
Yeah,
it would do
they're
well.
struggling. I think they've made 434 million globally, but it's
God
seen
damn.
60% drops each of the last 2 weekends since it came out. So yeah, it doesn't have the legs that they're probably hoping it would have.
Yeah, I do hope this is the start though, like of here it is. This is the beginning of it. Hey, movie maker dude, you have the 60 million to spend on this movie, or we a hard cap at 100 million. Hard cap 100 million, and do your best, and then like maybe start making money again. They're talking about that on Red Letter Media, where movies like Weapons and like these like lower tier movies that spend like 9 million on their movie are just making money hand over fist. So it maybe this has now come down to it. Like movies, you can't drop $200 million on your movie anymore. It's over.
Well, they could get all the production crews from Sony because they were making all the Spider-Man adjacent movies, because all the Spider-Man adjacent movies they were doing only cost them between 70 to 90 million a piece, and that's why they always made money on those Sony movies.
Not entirely. I mean, that universe is dead. Like Craven was dead in the water.
Well, the writing they put all the money into production. They didn't put in the writing. That's for goddamn sure. But yeah.
Let's see. Oh,
But
real quickly, female Silver Surfer. I think
Shalabal.
I like it.
I'm sorry to get annoyed by this. I'm tired of people being like female Silver Surfer. I'm like, it's a Silver Surfer. Shalabal is a Silver Surfer. Norman Rad is a Silver Surfer. It's just Silver Surfer.
I get
not,
what
not
you're
to
saying
bring
there.
not to bring gender politics into it. I'm just tired of people calling it out. Like, oh my god, the sky's falling. Like, it's a Silver Surfer. Relax.
No,
Yeah.
disagree. Sort of. I get what you're saying, and you are right. But I'm saying like, really quickly. First is I think it worked. I think she did a good job, and she fit the dynamics of like the entire like story and cast better than another male Silver Surfer. Saying female Silver Surfer I think is warranted because MCU has been going so hard on continually doing this and pushing this that's been hurting their movies. Instead of just like which I think they actually did well here. Like they had been pushing the message so hard that's been pushing people away, and people don't want to deal with it. People want to argue about it. So that when they do a good job, people might not even notice it because they're already annoyed. Because I think here they did a great job. I really liked her animation. My favorite part of the movie was when they escaped into their hyperspace.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like surfing on the warped space time. I was like, yeah! Like I started
that whole escape sequence was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was. Like,
I was curious to ask you. I was curious to ask you, Keith. Like that whole middle section where they go to see Galactus. I was like thinking, like, oh my god, Keith must be out of his mind. This is like the pulp sci-fi that he loves.
Yep, they're killing it. They're doing it. And I keep on like, I've never figured out the answer yet of like, why was it just like stupid spam crap for Quantum Mania? But here, I really feel like it worked. Like I didn't feel like it was spam. Like I had questions about the world that I was seeing. It felt real. It felt solid. I was having I had a lot of fun in that part. And I do feel like this Silver Surfer being female and creating the kind of like sexual tension dynamic with Johnny Storm actually added a good texture. to the overall story and narrative. Like, it was a good
that
call.
felt like that was the only reason they went with Shala Ball versus Nora and Rad. Because I mean, if you take out that element of her and Johnny getting little sparks going on, and Johnny flaming up,
Johnny has nothing, almost nothing to do, or almost no character dynamic. Because like,
right,
if it was just another, if
right.
this is another male Silver Surfer, and he was just having yet another bro dynamic that he already has with the Thing, it's just like, but with the female dynamic, it works in this adventure, and I have no problem.
You strip out that element. I mean, you could have easily still had Nora and Rad in there because it's the same origin stories, same purpose to the story. Well, in conjunction with Galactus, the only reason they went with Shaw Ball was for Johnny. That's really about it.
I think that was a good call.
But I really like the casting in this movie, especially with Ralph Ineson being Galactus, because that dude was just born with a voice to be Galactus. It's just awesome. And I thought Julia Garner was awesome as Shala Ball too. But I was really happy that my faith was rewarded with their casting for the Fantastic Four, especially with Pedro Pascal, because Pedro Pascal as Reed had me worried as hell. I really didn't think he could pull off the smartest man in any room he walks into thing that is really Reed's superpower. The fact that he can stretch is just on the side. I thought Pascal knocked out of the park as Reed. He actually believed he was the smartest and most smartest guy in any other room. And he pulled off the whole uncomfortable, I'm socially awkward thing that and Griffith couldn't quite pull off in the Tim Story movies. I don't know. I thought Pedro, it was a total surprise as Reed. I was really glad that worked. And Vanessa Kirby as Sue, and Joseph Quinn as Johnny, and Evan as Ben Grimm. I really liked it. I thought they did great with it.
I think they did great as well. But I think I think they might be too old for the roles. Like, for like the beginning of a franchise, and wanting more people to want to buy into and grow up with it. Like, once again, the part of why I think it fails is like a critique. I remember in the 90s where they're trying to work really hard on making Captain America cool, and like the critique was, it's really hard to make a hero cool when he looks and acts like your dad. Like, and this Reed Richards, like, now that I'm an old man, he's pretty cool to me. And I think he did a good job and whatnot. But like, as like if we're here to try to make it the Fantastic Four cool and a franchise that people flock to and want to be a part of, like, to me the most I think sacrilegious, the worst thing that they could do, that I think is the best thing they could do, is just swap all of them out. Because like, I keep on seeing, like, I've never read any of these comics, but every so often I see like these Fantastic Four that have like Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Deadpool, and they're all wearing like Fantastic Four colors or something like that. And I think that kind of a team would actually really blow up and work. You get like randoms of the Marvel universe and call them Fantastic Four. I unfortunately think that would like do Deadpool, Wolverine numbers. But if you got like a dad and a mom and her brother, and like the Thing, who is, I think he's like the only cool guy there, like, the dynamics don't work for like a mass audience.
Well, an interesting thing.
That's why they got the Avengers, Keith.
Yes, they do. Exactly.
Well, an interesting thing about the Fantastic Four is like they kind of had like a low key resurgence. One of the things, like one of the godsends to Marvel comics and Marvel in general, has been the success of Marvel Rivals. And a lot of people thought that like hero shooters were dead, and it showed they're not dead. They just want them with interesting things and cool mechanics, and they also want them to look sexy. They want them to look sexy as hell.
Yes.
The Marvel Rivals artwork.
Wow.
For Fantastic Four. Because people were all going like, ooh, Sue Storm, Mommy Sue Storm. I want Mommy Sue Storm.
Yeah, it's very interesting that Marvel Rivals is laying down some of the greatest designs they have ever made for these characters. Like, it's very funny that hands down, the greatest blade I have ever seen in my entire life is Marvel rivals, and like they need to just like shut up and like, okay, let's turn to these people on like what we should be doing with Blade if we want to make some real money. Let's see here.
That's if they ever find a script for the Blade movie.
That is like, I don't know. It's weird. Like as an older guy, like talking about sexuality and superheroes is like the lamest thing in the world. But by the same token, like it fucking works. It's what gets people latched onto things. So, you know, I don't know what the right length is between like, ooh, that's sexy enough versus like that's exploitative.
Yeah.
You know, it's a weird, but yeah, look, they look fantastic. MJ, have you ever seen these designs before?
No, but again, it looks like they put Ben in a diaper. I just, I know
a little bit. I see it.
I know it's hard to find a decent costume design to put on a guy who's a big walking rock, but come on, give the guy a break. Seriously, look at that.
But yeah, there's a complete core problem to the Fantastic Four that everybody needs to like, you know, give a hug and accept. They are not cool. They cannot be cool. Someone needs to spend a long time figuring out how to make them cool if they ever want to, because like, yeah, maybe this would work because yeah, I would say like sexiness in video games, I don't think not video games, comic book and video games, isn't lame because it is a core reason that brought us to it. Like as a younger man and kid reading comic books and like how sexy it could get, like especially like early He-Man, it felt like you're getting away with something, and that's what draws like people to art, is being excited by it.
Yeah, it's lame that like your lizard brain. It's weird because like I don't want to be like that guy who advocates, you know, I want my body pillows and my embarrassing sexy girl anime figurines. I hate that culture.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do think like it is necessary, and like nobody does it for things that they don't care about. Like you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a franchise that like died or nobody gives a shit about. Maybe there is like someone doing erotic art for like Law and Order or
wait. I'm misunderstanding your point right now. All of a sudden, what's your point again?
All right, let me see if I can articulate this well because
like I was gonna say like I saw a video about.
Now I'm imagining slash fiction for Law and Order, man. God,
is that a good? Is that a good thing or not?
I don't know.
That's horrible. My grandparents would be rolling in their grave if they knew that existed.
Oh, here.
Anyway,
we were doing final thoughts on Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
or
we're getting
are there
close,
bigger subjects that like we have not touched on yet?
I guess maybe before we go to the final thoughts, I think it's really interesting is that like Kevin Feige talked about wanting to reboot the MCU, and we got that announcement that like after Avengers Endgame, we're gonna probably get a soft reboot, and that's how they're gonna bring the X-Men. Because like I do think like this movie's good. I really enjoyed it. It's a shame it's not doing better, but it's like kind of like taking on the burden of several years of bad decisions.
Yeah, because like you said, if this had come out around Endgame times, boom, money.
Yeah, people would have been loving. Oh my God, the Fantastic Four, the first family's here, and here's Reed Richards, who's going to help Kamala Khan and all these other superheroes. He's going to be their father figure, who's going to teach them how, and he's going to give them stories about blah blah blah. But yeah,
and it would have built up how big of a rivalry Doom would eventually be, because you know now they're just coming in cold to it. It's like, oh, by the way, here's Dr. Doom. Oh, we're not going to mention that it's Robert Downey Jr.
They could have built off the goodwill that was there, but instead, because like, I think all that goodwill would have overcome the problems that are inherent with Fantastic Four, and maybe they could have actually started Fantastic Four fans. But
yeah, they could have gotten new people because like I think the retro future thing was something that like was really cool to see and visually distinctive. It's a shame, and it does feel like this movie's suffering for the sins of the collective Marvel universe of mediocre TV shows and movies. But it's interesting that we're going to get our first universe-wide reboot. And honestly, I have a sick feeling that I think Doomsday is going to bomb hard.
Well, it depends on. I don't know. If I don't know.
Um,
I mean, but I guess it'll be interesting to see how they spin Secret Wars because it sounds like they're going more with the latter day Secret Wars, where they collapse the 616 universe and the Ultimate Universe together, and that's kind of the template that they're using for the Secret Wars movie. And maybe that's how they're going to build into it with Doomsday. Because if Doomsday ends with the big blackout like they had at the beginning of the comic book Secret Wars, that could rival the end of Infinity War when half the universe blinked away and turned to dust in front of everybody, and the shock and gasp that all the audiences had at the end of that movie. I guess
uh,
that would be interesting to see, but
yeah, I think I almost feel like, the Fantastic Four would be a good team to sacrifice to that. Because once again, not to be ageist, whatever, but both of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Girl, they both seem upwards in age, and then like how long it takes to make each movie, so that um I can't imagine that they're like, hey guys, this is the beginning of your lives as the Fantastic Four. Talk to you guys in another 4 years. And like, how much older will he be in 4 years? And like, once again, we're going further away from like the core fantasy of being, young and energetic and a hero. I don't see this team growing or maybe even getting a sequel.
dude, Pedro's only 4 years older than us, right?
I am now way past my prime at playing Blade. If they called me and they're like, "Hey Keith, do you want to be Blade in his future?" I'm like, "I'll take all of your money, thank you," and do it. But like, it'd be a bad
Also got a
call.
better script. Yeah.
It'd be a very bad call to like me in 4 years doing the second movie in my trilogy of Blade. Like, I'm sorry, but yes, you gotta go a little bit younger. Unless you're doing an old gunslinger story, which works in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, no, maybe for this, maybe they would have been better off casting actors who are at least 10 years younger for
Yeah,
all of them except for
unfortunately.
Joseph Quinn. I mean, how old is Joseph Quinn at this point?
He seems like the exact right age for Johnny Storm.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, yeah,
Want to do
because
some final thoughts?
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Or
Now,
one last try for like, is there any big topics that like, if someone listens
Oh,
to this, they're
yeah.
like, oh, yeah, why didn't they talk about that?
Imagine how busy this movie had been if John Malkovich's Red Ghost had been left in.
I hope we get an extended cut on Disney Plus at least, or at least they release the deleted scenes. I'd like to see them.
I would
Yeah,
definitely watch an extended version of this movie too.
yeah, it's kind of interesting how much was in the trailer that wasn't in the movie. Like the whole news team walking through Baxter Building that they had in the trailer, they didn't have in the movie at all. And then, yeah, I mean, because they did show Malkovich in the first teaser for this movie, but then completely cut him out. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much was that cut and left on the cutting room floor, and how much they bring back from when they release it digitally and on DVD. But,
All right.
and of course, the cameo from the original Roger Corman cast in there. I don't know if you guys caught that during
I
the
didn't.
intro reel.
Ah,
Yeah, one of the groups of people they had in the intro reel that go, "Thank you, Fantastic Four." That was the original
oh,
Corman movie
dude.
cast.
Yeah, I heard they were in it. I definitely missed that, so I'll probably keep an eye out for them. On second watching with like, yeah, once again, great film. Like it deserved better. Better than Superman. It doesn't deserve the failure it's getting, and I would love to hear Matt Checkman's director commentary on this. We ready to do some final thoughts?
Yep.
Sure.
All right, my final thoughts are that this is a great film for another time about a team that I don't think will ever become cool or will ever blow up. Like I've seen them throughout all of time, and like I've been giving them tries throughout all of time from the 80s, 90s up to now. Like I have tried reading them, being going, okay, I guess they're right, and like I saw one great recap of the story where Reed has to face the problem of being a part of the Council of Reeds and trying to save all universes, and the problems of like what happens when you know everything, which makes for great short stories. But like the core fantasy of the X-Men is something everyone will always get, and it's just like being a bunch of like outcast misfits that no one likes, but you have your friends, and like you get together and you stand against the darkness, and like, yeah, that's gonna win. Fantastic Four. Keep trying. I do appreciate them. I do appreciate them. I think there's something there that just has gone, and I hope that someday it clicks with me. But so far, this is the best they've done, and it was pretty good. All right, MJ.
Keith,
Yeah.
oh,
Please.
sorry.
No.
Oh, Keith, did you ever see that short I sent you about like it was like Reed Richards who sees like what happens to the Thing 5,000 years in the future? That YouTube short.
No. Oh, damn.
Ah,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I've been trying to watch all this stuff that like can like load up my brain with like, so why Fantastic Four?
I'll send it to you again. I'll dig it up. To me, that short gives a really good example of like what these characters can be when they're at their best. But yeah, that's an example of like kind of like three body problem style pulp sci-fi.
Okay.
That like they do. But MJ, finish your thoughts on it, and I'll go into mine because they kind of tie into that.
Yeah, like we were talking before, this is a movie that probably would have killed if it was released during the good times of cinema back in 2019, before the pandemic and before everybody just watched the MCU fall flat on its face, being used as the savior of the MCU pivot to move away from the King and Conqueror experiment and try to use, usher in Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom for their new Avengers duology. It was the wrong time. Their hearts were in the right place. Matt Shackman's heart was in the right place. I love the cast. I love the aesthetic. I love it visually. I love what they did with the intergalactic portion of it. I mean, slingshotting around in a damn black hole. Hell yeah!
Oh my god! Yeah, it was so well shot and put together.
Right, but it was a decent movie for the wrong time, and that's why it's failing right now, is because it just isn't resonating beyond the core concept of the team. It's just a movie at the wrong time, and that's unfortunate because I really wanted to love this movie more than I do. But I'm kind of like in Isaac. I walked out of the movie like, that was great to watch. None of it's sticking with me.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yep. It was good, and like I'm like, so what do you think about Keith? I can't remember. It's starting to evaporate.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll do something with them enough in Doomsday and Secret Wars to make it worthwhile. But I don't see, to be honest, I don't see this iteration of the Fantastic Four surviving past the end of Secret Wars without either a recast or a complete reintegration of them to the rest of the Marvel universe proper. I just, as it is now, this isn't going to be sustainable.
All right. And then Isaac, what'd you think?
I thought it was a great, noble effort. It's interesting because, I think Keith articulated very well why they are the first family, and a lot of people view them as very boring and basic. Incredible shows that you can make a version of this that works. I think what makes them interesting is that, like, at their best, they do like really great pulp sci-fi, high concept, three body problems esque storylines.
Yeah,
but we never get to the point to see that in a big format of like live action. I just linked the video of The Thing Lives for Thousands of Years. It's a little good overview of like I think a John Hickman story. I'm not quite sure who did it. But please, Keith, watch this video after we're done with recording. We never get to those stories, which is why we just kind of like get with the basic version. I think this is like probably the best they've been in a high budget format, and this would have done gangbusters years ago. It's sad that this isn't. I hope that somehow they survive the destruction of the current Marvel universe and make their way into whatever it becomes later on, because even a dead franchise can always be revived, and the success the Marvel has had means that it's never going to be gone permanently. There's always going to be efforts to like get that bag started, getting that universe going. You don't make like a $10 billion franchise and then just like abandon it when you see that it's possible. but it was an interesting movie. I appreciated it. I wish it stuck a little bit more. And I wish there was a little bit more pizzazz, even though I do think that the actors in the cast had great chemistry, even if the thing was a little bit more subdued than I would have liked.
Really quickly on the three body problem, I think there are some very strong and like I think there were like homages in here that were like they seem like one-to-one direct. One of the big things in three body problem is a silver indestructible thing that once the Earth lays down its guard, zips across the Earth, destroying these pillars that could have turned the tide for Earth. And like,
yeah, that was an homage to the Silver Surfer.
Yes, it was straight up like direct. I was like, oh, whoa, cool.
Yeah,
right there, man. I saw you.
It wouldn't surprise me if Matt Shankman like threw little homages in there. He strikes me as like a highbrow guy who probably reads like highbrow sci-fi.
Yeah, and then like
also him trying to use Reed's plan as a version of the Wandering Earth. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Moving itself to another safe solar system. Yeah, it was some three body problem ideas, and the human race facing a total extinction from something they can't stop, and then having to think outside the box to beat it. Was they're doing three body problems in there. One last thing I wanted to say is that I think that could save the MCU is like if all of the actors can swallow their pride and we're going to lean all into the pro wrestling angle and like, hey, look, you did not work out, taking you down, and like lean into it, and then like so like what you end up seeing is like, so yeah, these actors and heroes, I'm sorry, they aren't going to be lasting for like the heroes you want to see for another 5 years. So in like the Doomsday crossover, like see them legitimately get killed, like, and like just people like minds being blown of seeing them get taken off the board, or that like at the end of like the first Doomsday, like the main dark heroine that's helping Doomsday walks on the screen, and it's Ironheart, and she's like, "What? You saw me do evil all the time," and you're like, "What?" And like she'd be an amazing rival to take on. Like have fun with like the failure, have fun with like lean into it and turn that into like I'm sorry, like if she did become a bad guy, I would love her. I
just lean into it.
Yeah, I would have so much more that. Like I was saying, like do that with Rey too. Like, people aren't liking her. She's done all these dark side things, and then make her the dark goddess of Star Wars, and like people start cheering. Lean into what the audience is feeling. Is what I'm thinking.
That would be really interesting. They never would, but like, just if some people don't like something, just go for it, and then just take pro wrestling and then give them what they, because like wrestling is a very reactive storytelling form.
Mm-hmm. It has a lot of fun. Anything else we gotta say?
Yes. So I have a little bit of a question. One final question that will be a good transition into something we're going to film after this, and that is, what do we think in the pantheon of live action stretchy powers? Did Reed Richards do it?
Yes. Success. The way he did it was completely unobnoxious and stupid and subtle, and like only in times when he would need to do it, almost coming off as using it as like Spider-Man powers. So
well, he didn't stretch much. I thought it was lame. I thought that they were afraid of it, and he didn't do any punchy, stretchy. Fuck you, Keith. Sorry, I want to see some creativity with the stretching.
Like I hate it when like in the cartoon or in the movies where like someone's over someplace and he stretches his head over there. What you mean? Like, oh God. And for some reason, it only works in One Piece.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because One Piece Season 2 has just released their first look. So, has Monkey D. Luffy improved his stretching powers?
Join us next time in the next video as we do our first team video reaction.
Video reaction. Our first topical video reaction.
There you go. All right,
and just as a parting shot, share the image I just shared with you, Keith.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh,
Because in the pantheon of stupid stretching powers, the 94 Fantastic Four hit the nail on the head for why you don't have characters with stretchy powers.
Right there is why Fantastic Four will never be cool.
I watched the 94 Fantastic Four with that last scene and laughed my ass off 15 minutes after.
All right, everyone. So
bad.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you pretty soon next time as we do a little video watching of the season 2 teaser of One Piece from Netflix. See you next time. Stay fantastic.
Freak time.